Rescue teams pull at least 6 women from the George rubble.
The proposal is ill-conceived as it will open up healthcare for grand-scale corruption.
As the president pushes through the NHI bill, more people in South Africa are out of jobs. And at 58 years old, the baddest man on the planet, Mike Tyson, is back in the ring. Hello, I'm Jane Dutton.
This is Eyewitness News.
The country's unemployment rate has risen to 32.9% in the first quarter of the year. That's up from the 32.1% seen in the previous quarter, devastating for a country with one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. The latest figures come just 2 weeks before the country's crucial general elections, with political parties expected to continue using the promise of jobs as leverage for votes.
Unemployment increased by 0.8 of a percentage point from 32.1% to 32.9%. And of course, the absorption rate decreased by 0.1 of a percentage point to 40.7%, whereas the labor force participation rate increased by 0.7 of a percentage point to 60.7%. The number of the employed persons increased by 22,000 in the first quarter of 2024 compared to the fourth quarter of 2023. And the number of those who were unemployed increased by 330,000, and of course leading to an unemployment rate rising. But this was largely because we have seen more entrants coming in the first quarter of 2024 as it happens.
Turning to the tragedy in George, disaster teams have pulled 6 out of 13 women known to be working as cleaners from the rubble. The rescue team is now focusing on the first floor of the toppled building. And we've learned that cleaning teams had been working that first story at the time the block folded a week ago.
The operation at the collapsed building site here in George remains a tandem mission. Rescue crews and demolition crews are working hand in hand to retrieve all the construction workers still trapped under the rubble. Rescue crews are now moving deeper into the trenches, and they've reached the first story of the 42-unit apartment block that fell more than a week ago. They say teams of cleaners had been working on this floor on the day of the incident.
Populist politics at play. President Cyril Ramaphosa will sign the NHI bill in a public ceremony at the Union Buildings tomorrow. Business Leadership South Africa says the legislation will leave the country's healthcare sector worse than it already is.
The problem is that once this is in the books, we'll enter a painful period which will do no good for either the health system or government.
The South African Health Professionals Collaboration, representing 25,000 health workers, has raised concern, also arguing that the potential consequences of the bill may be dire for the healthcare sector. The business sector and the DA are threatening court action, and Action SA say they're disappointed.
The proposal is ill-conceived as it will open up healthcare for grand-scale corruption, as we have seen during the COVID-19 pandemic when billions were lost through PPE and related corruption.
Whether you like it or not, the controversial Bella Bill has been passed. This now paves the way for major changes in the basic education sector. Those opposed to the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill say it'll cost the country billions and also strips parents of their rights over their children's education.
Bella risks costing the taxpayer nearly 18 billion rand without including uncosted expenses.
The finalization of the Bella Bill in the Sixth Parliament will be a significant milestone in transforming the education system and will have an immeasurable impact on the future of our nation.
The bill will now go for final processing in the National Assembly before the term ends on Thursday. Removing a dangerous criminal enterprise. Members of crime intelligence arrested 11 people on Friday north of Pretoria, who are believed to be part of a gang targeting unsuspecting buyers on Facebook Marketplace. This is good news for Gauteng resident Bruce Moller. Bruce and his friend responded to an advert for a vehicle in November. After arriving at the pickup location in Winterveld, the pair was ambushed. Moller sustained a gunshot wound to the leg, while his friend was shot in the abdomen. They drove themselves 50 kilometers to the nearest hospital.
I didn't feel that I was in a trap. It was so professionally done. I asked the guy for his number, he sent it to me, I phoned him, and we liaised over the phone and over WhatsApp the whole time, and nothing felt like it's going to threaten me or that I was in danger with anything.
Where there's smoke, the Electoral Commission has dismissed claims that Zimbabwe's ZANU-PF has been accredited to observe South Africa's May 29 elections. Last week, the African Transformation Movement wrote to the IEC flagging its concerns about ZANU-PF's participation, that its political interference, violence and election rigging against the party would damage the integrity of the South African elections. The Electoral Commission has hired an additional 69,000 people to assist with vote counting.
We want to improve the quality of the result slips so that they are legible, everybody can read them, and they are free of material error.
The IEC has set the 2nd of June as a provisional date for the announcement of election results. Some international developments: Israeli troops fought Hamas militants in multiple battles across the Gaza Strip, forcing new waves of Palestinian mass displacement as Israel marked a somber Independence Day on Tuesday. Clashes have rocked the densely crowded far southern city of Rafah, but also flared again in northern and central Gaza months after troops and tanks first entered those areas. And former heavyweight king Mike Tyson says his decision to step back into the ring at the age of 57 is a, quote, no-brainer, brushing off recent criticism that he was too old to make a comeback.
I'm doing great, but my body is right now. I'm sore. Yeah, I'm really sore.
Tyson, who turns 58 in June, takes on the 27-year-old Logan Paul in a professional bout comprising 8 two-minute rounds that has been sanctioned by boxing authorities in Texas. But the boxer who terrorized the heavyweight division in the 80s and 90s as the self-styled baddest man on the planet insisted he had no reservations about lacing up his gloves again nearly 2 decades after his last professional fight in 2005. And that's all from me and the team. Don't forget to download the EWN and the Prime Media Plus app.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za.